Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. I am Kevin Nelson, the Director of Information Technology. Here to present today on the Connect Hanover. We do, as Mr. Badesky said, have most of our partners here to also give you an update. So the main, there are lots of folks who are helping us to get either additional cable internet in the county or just get our citizens some internet access. But the main one is our Virginia Telecommunication Initiative grant with All Points Broadband. That initial grant was to be completed in August of 2024. And in August of 2023, when you really started getting these regular updates, concern was raised about being able to meet all the deadlines, that there were delays being experienced. And the staff, we heard, as you did, things like "we hope" or "we think." There weren't definitive statements being made. And it was predominantly due to the make-ready process. And I'm not going to go through. You've had many sessions on folks telling you what the make-ready is, but the biggest part is working with our utility partners, Rappahannock Electric Cooperative and Dominion Energy. And so staff started to meet with those folks on a regular basis, and we continue to do that to learn and to get educated on, where are their constraints, where are the opportunities. And they will acknowledge and have acknowledged to you that because it's not just Hanover, they're across the state. There are a lot of people banging on their door for getting approvals to hang on their infrastructure. So as we talked to them into the spring, we started to see a lot more positivity coming from them. You heard from Dominion last time that they're adding resources. You're going to hear some more updates from them today that they are accomplishing things. They have actually finished constructing some things. Rappahannock Electric is going to talk to you today about adding resources specifically in Hanover County. So in April, we felt much more comfortable. We went to the Department of Housing and Community Development, who are the ones who gave us the grant, with All Points, and they said, we're going to do this corrective action plan. Everybody acknowledged at that point that we were not going to meet the August 2024 deadline. So based on having better information and not "we hopes" and "we thinks" statements, we were able to enter into a revised agreement it's called a corrective action plan that revised the schedule, and I'm going to show you that in a second. That corrective action plan was approved in May. It's actually a letter, but it's on our website. And the key is that it does preserve our grant funding moving forward. So the state has said that we're good with this revised schedule. The other component to this is that we're working with All Points to try and get better metrics that we can show the public that we're making progress every month. So the fact that the grant has been delayed, it's compressed some things. We still need to show the public that that we're going to meet these deadlines. So the timeline, I won't get into too many details. One, you're going to hear some great news from Dominion Energy about the middle mile fiber construction. But All Points Broadband has now committed that they will start construction of last mile fiber November 1st of 2024. That they will then start connections to homes February 1st in 2025. They will continue to, so the process for All Points is they have these things they're called fiber service areas. So they don't do the whole county and then come back and connect people. They'll do it as they get these areas, they extend the fiber, they turn it on, and they start connecting homes. So that's what will start happening in February. So it's not, that folks have to wait 6 months, for things to happen. They'll start to see that in February. They'll go through the whole county by the end of 2025. They will have extended last mile fiber throughout the county. So that's 15 months. We were delayed by 15 months. But again, you're going to hear some great things from our utility providers and from All Points on how we believe we have turned this around and now have reasonable and real timelines. Now, you still got to remember that you can get access to internet service for a year after it's in your area. They connect you for free, so it's a moving target. You don't have to sign up. The first day you can wait to do that, but they will do that. The other thing you will hear is from Rappahannock and Dominion, the success they've had in construction. So they're actually out there doing things as part of that make-ready process. If you remember that, they got to replace poles or they got to move things around. So these are the presenters. Mr. Banks with Comcast sent me a note just a few minutes ago saying he was not going to be able to make it, so he will not be here today. And I did want to, so this is the order that the folks are going to come. I'll usher them up here. Bryson, hope I got that right, is Mealy Norris is our new Dominion Energy contact. She's going to introduce herself. So if you remember, Garrett Braun was our rural broadband. Let me back up. Julia is still our Dominion Energy contact. Bryson is our rural broadband contact. So she replaces Garrett Braun. So she's going to introduce herself. If you have any questions, be happy to answer.
Mr. Hertzberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Nelson, can you go back on the presentation back 2 slides? That one right there. So April 2024. I thought the letter says Hanover County made the request for the extension, not the DHCD.
Yeah, we did make the request, yes, sir.
Okay.
DHCD told us you have to submit a corrective action plan.
Okay.
So that's, you can't just get the request, you have to submit something that says, hey, what are you doing to meet the new timelines? So,
okay, so if I understand the order correctly, based upon what you just said, DHCD insisted on a correction action plan, and then Hanover County requested the extension. Is that right?
I think it's the other way. I think we talked to them, and they said to do what you want to do, you have to submit a corrective action plan.
Okay, but the letter says at Hanover County's request.
Yes.
Okay, just
Yes,
want to
sir.
make
I'm
sure.
sorry. Right. We made the request. They said you have to submit this. We then made the formal request, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Nelson. That's all.
All right, Mr. Stoneman.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So you said in November they're going to start in Hanover. That's All Points, and I understand that's going to be in the eastern part. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I apologize. I should have said that. That was the other definitive news. Heretofore, you've always heard we didn't know where we were going to start. And I'm sure All Points is going to bring it up as well. They had been talking about starting in an area that where Dominion Energy was located, and so yes, sir, that is they're going to start in the east and move west.
And where actually is that? I mean, you talking about Cold Harbor area? Where are you exactly talking
So
about?
they have those fiber service areas. There's 2 of them. One sort of Cold Harbor and one Old Church, and then there's another one as you go up River Road up to where we are. It's probably going to be either Cold Harbor or Old Church. It will be the actual first one.
And so the western part in Beaver Dam, I'm more interested in. We're not really looking to see them anytime soon.
Well, we are working with them. Mr. Badesky has brought this up. We need a more definitive schedule on where you're going to be because we're compressing this a little bit when. And so we're still working with them on that. That's Rappahannock Electric, so it's a little different cadence, if you will. You'll see Rappahannock Electric's, we have made some progress on permits, but not like Dominion.
Right.
So, but we do need to challenge All Points to tell us what, what is a more definitive schedule?
And we do have a lot of Brightspeed out in that area, and I understand is that if you're currently served by Brightspeed, you have an option. And so if you look on our website and you're scheduled to be serviced by All Points, but if you're currently a Brightspeed customer, you can choose either or. Is that correct?
Yeah, so yes, if you wanted to stay with the service that you have today, you can. Brightspeed's going to update you as well. They're making progress throughout the county, but their project, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, is not their whole territory. It is some specific portions of their territory. So yes, you may have an
option.
You may stay on, it's called DSL technology. It's just a little older technology. That's perfectly fine.
Well, no, that's not where I want to stay, because it doesn't work that well.
Right, that's correct.
So I'm just trying to, because Brightspeed is, I guess, is scheduled to be complete at the end of 2024. And I guess I don't see any activity out in our part of the county, so I don't know. Just trying to figure out if we're actually really going to get it out there in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, so Chris Dillon with Brightspeed is here. He's going to update you on it. Our understanding is not our understanding. We know that they have a contractual obligation to have finished the fiber extension effort they have by the end of this calendar year. Now, that doesn't mean everybody potentially is, just like with All Points, is got the internet service, so that may take, a little bit into 2025. But they should have, and again, I don't think their presentation shows anything surprising, the actual fiber extensions done by the end of this calendar year.
Okay, thank you.
And you'll actually see, it's interesting, Rappahannock Electric's information includes Brightspeed as applied for things too. So not only is All Points, but Brightspeed has. So speaking of Brightspeed.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. Again, I'm Chris Dillon with Brightspeed Government Affairs. I handle Virginia, North Carolina, and parts of South Carolina sometimes. I'll go really quickly because I know All Points has your money. So again, Brightspeed at a glance. We're a new company. We're not a new iteration of former companies. We are a startup. We're about 20 months old now, and we like to brag about this. Last year, we were the 4th largest fiber builder in the entire United States. We have a 20-state footprint, and we're the 4th largest fiber builder in the United States. And we are punching way above our weight class with our rollout because we only have 4,000 employees. The last county I worked at had 4,500 employees. So that's a 20-state footprint with 4,000 employees. Again, we're putting out XGS PON, which is what our competitors are putting out. We recently offered or opened for offering a 2 gig a month service. So that is far beyond what most residential customers need. Actually, probably more than what small businesses need. But that's Brightspeed. Again, this is our pricing plan that we just came out with. Our 200 meg is $50 a month, and our 2 gig is $99 a month. Most of the territories that I see, a 1 gig is $189 to $159, somewhere around there a month. So we're very aggressive in our rollout and getting customers in, and that 2 gig at $99 a month is the best deal in the industry as far as I'm concerned. I know you want to focus on the RDOF build that is in Hanover County. Again, quickly, this is our territory. This is what our ILEC, what we purchased from the former company. This is what our territory is within Hanover County. This is what our RDOF build is. So if you're in this territory, you'll get fiber service or high-speed service, but it probably won't be from us because of other grants, whether it be VOTI grants or other builds. This is what we bid on and got as our RDOF territory. That's split into 3 builds. Beaver Dam, which is 347 addresses. That's a small build. I'll give you an update quickly. We have 100% of our permits submitted. We have 50% approved there. All of our pole attachments pole attachment applications are in, and Realistically, we begin construction by the end of July. There, underground construction. Gumtree, it's 752 addresses. Again, this is a smaller build. 100% of our permits are applied for or submitted, 50% approved. Those are permits from VDOT. And in this area, we also look to begin construction by the end of July. Montpelier, larger build, about 1,100 addresses. We met with DOT this week. We'll have all VDOT permits applied for by the end of this week, and all of our pole permits have been applied for or paid. All of our applications have been paid for. So when they talk about Make Ready and REC and Dominion, we have different agreements with different companies throughout the Commonwealth, but we've paid all of our money up front to get our applications in. So again, everybody will speak the same way. Our high-level designs are the first thing. Then we order the equipment. All the equipment has been delivered to our contractors for these builds. All the survey work in the field's been done, depending on issues of permits and timing and workflows to the areas of least resistance. So that's why Beaver Dam and Gumtree will be going first, because we were able to get the permits in, approved, and begin underground construction. So current status, as Kevin and Todd are great, by the way. You've got a great staff. You should really commend them. We have about 173 days to complete this build. It's not a large build, but it is the make ready and the permitting. All the permits we feel like will be done fairly quickly. It's down to make ready. Design's done. The permits again are in various stages. We expect the underground work to begin within 2 weeks. I would say by the end of July, just in case. And customers will be offered for service, OFS, offered for sale, as they're lit. So it won't have to wait for all 3 areas to be built. As we go by an address, we will let them know, you're open for business. Please sign up for our amazing service. Before I close, I want to mention it's 102 degrees outside, and we have contractors, we have linemen, we have people on poles, we have techs out there. So when you think about people who are working, I'm hot in here. That's just me. But it's hot outside. So when you see a lineman or a contractor, thank them for what they do, because it's bad outside right now. But with that, I'll be glad to take any questions, Madam Chair. But thank you for your time.
Questions for Mr. Dillon?
No.
Jeff?
So can you go back to the slide that had the Montpelier build on it? So when do you anticipate that one? Is that more toward the December timeline?
Well, no.
Or later and later?
We can't. Well, I mean, there's ramifications if we go past the December.
Right, yeah.
But it's 1,100 premises. As soon as we get VDOT permits, and like I said, we met with them in person this week to get their expectations. We hope that'll go quickly. As soon as we get the VDOT permits, we'll begin underground construction in areas where that is. So, yeah, we'll start digging as quickly as possible, and as soon as our pole attachments come back, we're overlashing on a lot of existing fund line. So that's what has allowed us to grow so exponentially, is we can go along a string on stuff we already own.
Right.
And we have attachment agreements with these companies. So, we already have attachments on some of these poles. So it depends on whether we overlash, whether we're new attachment. But with regards to timeline, I just can't stand here and tell you this is the date, this is what to expect, because as you know, a lot of people watch your meetings online, and my email gets flooded with when's mine coming on,
Right.
and I can't give a date on that at the time.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Additional questions? I did have one follow-up question, but
Yes,
you
ma'am.
do anticipate the areas that you've shown us to be connected by December?
Yeah, December 15th is the agreement we have with DHCD, and there's nothing that I've been told that says we can't make that date. And from our CEO all the way down, these builds in Virginia are our top priority to get done. It is a matter of working with our partners to try to expedite. But, as y'all know, my delay isn't your urgency. So, yeah, we're working with as much as possible. But VDOT's a great partner, REC's a great partner, Dominion's a great partner, so we look forward to it.
And the December deadline is connections to the homes, not just on the poles.
That is correct. Well, it's open for sale. So as soon as we run fiber by and it's lit, we let customers know or let addresses know you're open for sale. Whether you choose to sign up for it or not, if you sign up immediately, then we run a drop to your home as soon as possible. So it doesn't have to be that the home is connected. It's that you're able to purchase it. So we don't have the same free connection deadlines as y'all do with your partner. We run free drops no matter the length and whenever the customer decides to sign up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank y'all very much.
I don't have a list in front of me, but I hope we know who's following who.
Good afternoon. We do. My name is Stuart French. I'm with Shintel, and here in the market, we are offering fiber to the home as Glow Fiber. So we will go through an update as of June 24. So year to date, or I should say project to date, we have built over 157 miles worth of fiber. Just as a reminder, our total project area is essentially offering service as a competitor to the incumbent, which is Comcast in areas. Other providers here today are focused on the rural areas that have no options. We're providing a competitive option throughout more of the dense areas of the county. So through that 157 miles that we have built, more than 9,900 homes have access to our service. As of today. Remaining, we expect to have the rest of this project complete by end of year, maybe bleed over a little bit into early next year, but a majority of these remaining 16 jobs should be complete by end of year. There's another 7,400 homes in this remaining portion of work. Majority of that is in the county itself, with 1,900 of that 7,400 in Ashland, the town itself. 72 miles is the total mile amount remaining to be built. As you can see, mileage-wise, we're well in advance of the total majority of the project already behind us. Just call out a couple of challenges. Make ready locates. These are standard issues, challenges that all providers will have. Make ready, you're at the whim of the pole owners. There's not much you can exert on them to hurry up and get their work done so you can get safely on the poles. Locates and utility damages, I'll wrap in together. Sometimes other providers and other utilities in the underground space can be mislocated. So those are the marks, the flags that we see on the ground when we go to install our fiber. That can then lead, if a utility is mislocated, lead to some utility damages. We've had a small uptick in damages, underground damages recently, that we've been working collaboratively with the locators, other utility providers, as well as county staff to make sure those are taken care of and addressed properly. The most pressing of which was a small handful of gas strikes. Now, I should clarify that gas strikes in the utility space can mean as a tiny little nick all the way to a full-on exposure of the gas line itself. One of those gas lines, one of those issues has led us to fire a subcontractor who has been a repeated offender. We have replaced that subcontractor with someone who had been doing a better job, and we've also taken a proactive step to replace the standard hand tool, which is hand digging, which is required by SEC requirements that when you go to locate the existing utilities, when you get close, you have to start hand digging versus using machines. All of these utility hits that we have had have actually been with hand tools. So we're doing the right thing. It's just a contractor not following the best safe dig practices. So we removed them and then also took an extra step to require all of our crews that are remaining with us to start using air knives, which is essentially a compressed air and vacuum. So it's essentially taking any physical component out of the equation, and we have not seen any damages since that change with our contractors. So everybody likes to see a visual, so here's our map of progress. Green areas, as a reminder, are areas that we have completed and have active service within. In yellow is in some phase of either starting construction, halfway through construction, or just right before being fully turned up and active for service. So I'll pause there and let you all orient yourselves before proceeding to the next slide. So just a reminder, we're a full triple play provider, TV, internet, and phone. It is all over our 100% fiber optic network. We have 4-speed packages available on the internet side, and we operate a streaming TV platform that operates like your traditional TV with multiple packages with varying numbers of channels within that. And then our home phone, which is also fiber-based, is fully unlimited calling for one low price. And these prices are our latest rates available. Traditional discounts apply, double, triple play discounts. Lowest internet package is 600 megabit for 70, all the way up to 5 gigabits for 290 a month, with our typical package being that 1.2 gig at $85 a month. That's the extent of my update, but I can go back to any slides and take any questions.
Any questions by board members? I see none. Thank you so much for your update.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Mr. Badesky, I'm Mark Ponton with Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. I'm the Director of Fiber and Broadband Services, and thank you for the opportunity to be here to give you an update on where we are with the county and the partners that we're working with. So the first slide I've got is just to give you some statistics of where we are with each partner with Brightspeed. Last time we didn't have anything pertinent to update with, but today we do, and also All Points Broadband and where we are with them. And today, All Points, you know, we have a proposal of 95 miles within your county that they'll be building. Of those pole attachments, so far 78 have been received for a total of over almost 1,700 poles. In the Brightspeed area, about 50 miles of the fiber or the proposed line for the poles, and 34 applications have been received for about 875 poles. Of those 875, you'll see right below that, about half of them have already come back from Make Ready Engineering and Design for Brightspeed. So those have been sent back to Brightspeed for their review for corrections if needed. And then tomorrow, we're actually going to be starting on the REC side of our review for that so that we can get these to make ready construction soon. As you heard, you know, Brightspeed needs to move along quickly. So we'll be doing that. And I'm sorry to say Beaver Dam won't be quite first, but it's coming really soon. Montpelier will be our first review and first part of the design, but we'll get there very soon because the Beaver Dam portion is in REC. So APB is reviewing their make-ready construction route in the county, but we're working with them closely all the time. I have two people here with me today, Lindsay Watson. She oversees all of our, a lot of our projects with the government, and well, I can't remember the name, but for some reason. Anyway, with all of our government affairs. And Corey Smith. Corey Smith is one of our seasoned designers. He's also got warehouse experience. He's been with us for some time, and we've moved Corey into our department. And he is one of our resources that is fully dedicated to these projects, to the All Points project specifically. And he's also going to be working on the Brightspeed project in the county as well. Besides that, we have other designers. We have 5 total. We have our joint use and contract administrator. He's also a seasoned designer, has been with REC and Allegheny Power for many years. And of the others, we actually have, what we've done is we've put some key players in each of our district areas. Corey being in our northern area up around the front Royal Winchester. We have 2 in the Culpeper area, and we have another in the Bowling Green area. Now, that doesn't mean that they're limited to those areas. We have them work across the entire 22-county process, Hanover being one of them. And Corey's going to be focusing on Hanover as well as our joint use and contracts administrator. So where we are, we're waiting on some information back from Brightspeed. They've got their review going on. We've started to get some of that back. That's what Corey's going to start reviewing tomorrow. And we're doing the same with All Points. They have information in their hands, and once we get that, we'll be ready to move forward. All Points, a bit back, we were able to give them of the notice to proceeds areas that they could go ahead and build fiber, if that works out for them. Those were areas that didn't need any make-ready work done, so we were able to issue those right away. And we'll know a little bit more after the final review with Brightspeed in the next couple of weeks, where the NTPs can be for them as well, so that they can go ahead and start getting their fiber. Besides that, any make-ready work that needs to be done, such as pole changes or moving lines around, things of that sort, will take place. Just to give you a little more update on our commitment to this, from our CEO, our board members, down to even, to all of across our entire corporation, we have put in the commitment to make sure that all of these broadband projects succeed. We want to see them all succeed. We want to work with our partners and make things happen. This department started off with me about 3 years ago, and in that time frame, we've grown to 11. 5 of those I just mentioned to you. We have seasoned fiber designers, seasoned linemen that are in our department. So we have a great array of different people. We have someone who's dedicated to all of our invoicing, our permits, so lots of different areas of expertise that we've put together in this department. For external crews, we had 18 as of the first quarter of this year. We've increased that to 24 already. And what that means is 24 crews equates to over 200 people on the ground every single day. So it's between 200 and 300 people. A crew has about 5 people on it with the right equipment, right trucks, and things that they do need to be able to perform this work. And the materials are all in place as well. So those crews are 100% dedicated to fiber make ready. We do not pull them back and forth from our electrical to fiber and then back to electrical. We have other crews that are completely dedicated to our electrical work. So I wanted you to make sure that you understood that we've put in this commitment. Besides that, as we grow, as Brightspeed and Glo Fiber and Comcast and All Points and whomever else grows and needs more make-ready work done, for attaching to our poles, we've talked with our contractors. We have 5 main contractors that we work with. And one of them is a small contractor, but they're local to Louisa, but we work with them. We've worked with them for many years, and we are keeping them on our system because they do a good job. The others have committed that when we say the word that we're ready for more contractors, they can supply them with just in a couple of weeks. So they actually check with us about every week or two to see, hey, are you ready? Because they're ready for the work, and we want to be able to take advantage of those crews. So we keep our board and our CEO and my boss, Peter Mahurl, updated frequently on the progress that's going on and how well we're doing with all of this. This map shows you our REC's fiber utility network in your county. The blue line is, it may show a little bit out of each county, but it just wanted to give you a good reference of where it is. The length of it is 41 miles. But just wanted to give you a visual, and then I've got a little bit of information on that on the next slide as well. But that is what is in the county for our fiber utility network. So that network is complete. It consists of 41 miles of both overhead and underground. It gets a connection back to Equinix Data Center in Culpeper. We're also working to get into the Pixel Factory just south of us in Ashland. And we'll be looking to get into some other data centers, especially in the northern area, so that we have redundancy. And in our fiber, what we're looking to do for this fiber is this is for REC's needs, but we've built more fiber than we need and with the ability and the option to lease dark fiber to whomever may wish to do so. All Points Broadband is doing this with us in other counties. We expect that they may be willing and wanting to do that in this county as well, to interconnect some of their network equipment. And we're open to anyone. We're not, just REC. We're not just for All Points. We're here, and that's the reason we overbuilt it, because building the fiber, the expense of it is the labor. So it makes sense to build more fiber than you actually need. So we have that option ability to be able to do that. And we're glad to talk with anyone if the county even had need for transporting some data across fiber, you know, across that 41 miles that you saw. I got to quit hitting the microphones. I must need to back up or stop talking with my hands. So that's where we are with our update, and that's, you know, we're ready to move forward. Anytime that you may need any kind of information, feel free to connect with any of us, with myself, with Lindsay, with Joni, and just wanted to make sure that you understood and realized that we are committed to this for all of the ISPs. And we want to see them all succeed because our members want the broadband service just like your constituents want it. And that's been one of the number one questions that REC's had for a long time is, what are you going to do to bring broadband to my area? So we're working with our partners to try and make that happen. So I'll be glad to take any questions you have.
Any questions at this time? I don't see any questions. I just want to say thank you for your dedication to this project and for partnering with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Here comes Dominion.
Good afternoon to the board. I'm Bryson Mealy-Norris. I know that you all have dealt with Garrett Braun, and he has moved on to a different business unit, but still with Dominion Energy. However, I am now the sole person handling all of the communications. I am not new to the company. I'm just new to Hanover. So I just want to make sure that I put that out there. So just going to do a brief recap. As Kevin stated, we have a great update to share. So the brief recap, as you can see, for those who may not be familiar with our middle mile portion of things, we have the main lines that attach to our substations and the laterals in which the internet service provider, which is All Points Broadband, will be connecting the last mile of information. We did want to highlight, we have 3,000 miles of middle mile fiber across the state that we are installing, and that we're serving more than 30 counties across our system. So we just want to kind of make sure that you know that we're connecting as many as we can as soon as we can with the middle mile portion so that we can get with our partners and they can go ahead and do the last mile of that fiber. For Hanover County specific, we have 53.59 miles. As you see here on the map, we are all green. We have 97% constructed, 100% released. I also wanted to highlight prior to that is that, as Kevin mentioned, we did add a couple of, not resources, we allocated some resources so that we could ensure that we meet the needs of not only the county but the partners that we are working with. And for anyone who has a question in reference to construction, we are looking to have full completion of that construction that since we're at 97%, will be by the end of July 2024. On our joint use information, as you can see in the blue would be where it states customer, that's All Points Broadband. As you can see that we've got our poles that are over to them, 1,174, 833 payments required, as they talked about payments earlier, and attachments granted at 987. So we just kind of wanted to give a brief, view of how things are and where we're standing in that 97% that we discussed on the previous page. As Dominion Energy, we're still in communications with All Points Broadband on the splicing as they are re-engineering their splicing plan. So as soon as we get an update on that information, we will certainly provide that as well. And it was a very brief update. And so if you have any particular questions in reference to these slides or information, please let me know.
Yes, Mr. Hirschberg?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for your presentation. I just wanted to comment on the work status on the map that you had showed. And I'm talking about the 360 corridor and east and south. I'd like you to know that, I've been kind of watching the contractors work, not like parked watching, but seeing where they're working. And following the work, and it is exactly as the map shows. Over the last few months, they've worked very diligently. They have completed the work that's shown there. The last presentation that we had from Dominion said that this middle mile would be completed, like 99% or so by the end of the second quarter. And I'm very pleased to say that as far as I can see and I can tell, that is exactly what happened.
Right.
So I want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
There's a lot of fiber up there just waiting to be attached.
That's right, that's right. But
Okay.
thank you for reviewing it and speaking on the contractors. And we will certainly pass that along.
Sure, thank you. That's all.
Madam Chair, can I, before we, a large portion of the service territory is Dominion, and I know All Points is coming up next, but the criticality of making sure, and we're not sliding behind our construction plans, right, All Points, is making sure we get the pole attachments. Are all applications into Dominion at this time? So I'm seeing some heads nod, so yes. And so, given the past history of application approvals, I just want to make sure that it is feasible that we're going to have the sectors, enough per sectors to actually meet our construction targets based on what's already submitted to Dominion.
I would say yes, as far as I can determine. I can certainly confirm that and get back with you and send a note over once we meet with the project management team, but yes.
Okay. And I thank you, and I think you're going to hear a little more of that from our provider here in a
Right.
second. But it's, our citizens have been waiting and deserving these connections, and we know that some of the make-ready work that has involved all of this has been some of this holdup. And so it's so critical that both with Rappahannock and yourselves, that this work is submitted in and done
Right.
so they can execute their plans. And so I know that we all want to see it done tomorrow. We want to see it done right. And at this point, because we have the extension, there is no further opportunities beyond this. We have to deliver for our residents. And I just want to make sure you have what you need from our provider to make sure that they can do what they need to do.
Yes. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? I do have, could you go back to the map, please? I'm very happy for the green that is east of 95 and still looking for the green that is west of 95 and wondering if you forgot a slide. We're still here.
Didn't forget, but certainly.
Do I need to ask Mr. Badesky to pass those tissues?
No.
Okay.
No, certainly didn't forget. We've got, just like I said, we're at 97%. We're in the process, and we will certainly have the information updated. Once I get an updated map, I will certainly send it over with all the full details on the west side of that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I will say that we miss having Miss Julia here with us.
Yeah.
But I want to let my board members know that Julia is in the process of getting married. She would be here, but she's getting married. So
Right.
next time we see her, she'll be a married woman.
That's
So
right.
we give her our best wishes.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And thank you very much for being here with good news.
Great. Thank you so much.
All Points, you're up.
Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for this opportunity to provide an update. Happy to follow our partners, REC and Dominion. Before I get started, I wanted to recognize a familiar face to you all. Rich Schulman has joined our team as our Director of Government Affairs as of May 1st, I believe. So great industry experience. He serves on the state's Broadband Advisory Council as the chair of the Virginia 811 Underground Locate Board. Brings a lot of experience and credibility to our team. So with that, let's get started. Quick refresher on the project that we are delivering for Hanover in partnership with REC and Dominion. We were awarded a $14 million Virginia Telecommunications grant that is earned in arrears after we deliver on 3 milestones. At the end of the day, this is going to deliver about 560 distribution or last mile plus middle mile fiber to make fiber broadband available to 6,200 locations on a technology similar to Brightspeed and I'm sure Glo XGS-PON, which allows 10 gigabits of internet connectivity up and down to every single location. Work with Dominion Energy and REC for attaching to their poles, leasing middle mile fiber. We work with them all the time. In particular, I hear Corey's name quite a bit now, especially in King William and pretty soon in Hanover. This is a big project. It takes a lot of engineering work, a lot of outside expertise. We brought on the Timmons Group. They're a primary skilled labor vendor. They help in a number of different steps along the critical path and have been guiding us through this process, doing a lot of engineering work. I think they take up half the seats in the cubicles in our office. Great to have them on board as well. So every update, we want to hit on our top 3 key dependencies, middle mile, utility pole make ready, and having enough constructible miles in a row. So as you just heard from Dominion, they're 97% complete. We redesigned some of our middle mile and REC territory, but also plan to lease fiber from them as well in Hanover. So a lot of progress on middle mile. We need that to connect our last mile to the internet. So all looking good on middle mile. For the utility pole make ready, we're talking about this a lot. We have very strong collaboration between us and both pole owners, probably the strongest that it's been to date. We expect to finalize all of the Dominion approvals. So in the chart that Bryson showed you, the blue lines, either payment or approval from all points back to Dominion. We expect to finish that in July, and I'll get to how that impacts our critical path in a couple of slides. What we see in the make-ready steps for Dominion, we will follow with REC about a quarter after. So they are in parallel, just a little bit behind in REC, although we've gotten some notice to proceeds. We've been sharing some engineering work there as well. So our target is to have enough constructible last miles in a row. We expect this in October to be released to construction at the very beginning of November. And this is consistent with our currently approved project timeline to have all of the last mile fiber constructed by November of 2025 and to get it started by November of 2024. We work with REC, Dominion, the county team, DHCD all the time, discussing issues about design or make ready, supply chain, what have you, managing risks as best we can. And it's a complex workflow in Hanover and across the state. You know, all of the resources for broadband are being taxed in Virginia. This is going to happen in other states probably a year after Virginia. We spent a whole lot more money in Virginia than anywhere else in 2022. So this is happening in other states soon, but it's going on in Virginia right now. We expect the network on the eastern side of the county, so east of Ashland, in the 100% Dominion fiber service areas to go to construction first and have a customer able to sign up at the beginning of February 2025. We are very incentivized to do that because there are no more state or local dollars that come to all points to reimburse a portion of our cost until we do that last mile construction and we can signify that it's done, it's hit the post-construction inspection, and a customer can actually sign up. So between now and then, well, between last June and then, all of the costs are borne by all points, and then we apply for a portion of that reimbursement after we hit these milestones. At the end of the presentation, I have a couple of slides on the Infrastructure Act BEAD program. This is the next round of federal funding. Pretty similar to the way that Beatty works, but 2 totally different programs with the end goal to get broadband to people who don't have it. And I got a couple of information slides about that. Here's our current pole status, 3 different colors here. Yellow has been at some stage of being applied for or accepted or is pending work between the pole owner or all points. A green dot, these are dots, not lines. A green dot has full notice to proceed. We could attach today if we wanted or if it made sense. Blue lines are all of the electric work is done, and the only thing remaining is an existing telecommunications provider needs to move their attachment up or down. included in here, this was the March update, so we can kind of toggle back and forth to see the change. It's hard to see on this scale, and the county staff asked us to include some more granular detail for you all to keep track of the progress that we're making. So we're going to zoom in on the eastern side of the county. I turned off all of the green dots and teal dots. These are the yellow poles, all Dominion poles, that by the end of July will be released out to make-ready construction. That takes about 10 weeks, maybe 12 weeks total. And the next time we come in here, most or all of those should be a different color, no longer yellow. And we want to provide this level of detail so that you can look back on this slide the next time I'm in the room. This is a total of 51 tickets here in fiber service areas 1 through 3. The next step for most of these is for All Points to pay the estimated invoice provided by Dominion, and then they can release construction crews. Here's a timeline Gantt chart that gets us from today to the first subscriber lighting in February of next year. So a couple of steps here that you can see in detail. The critical path is for us to get payment and approval back to Dominion, in this case, for these first 3 fiber service areas. Next step is the make-ready construction. So all the engineering is done. The materials and the crews are ready and waiting. They just need to be approved for payment. Get all those NTPs back, all the notices to proceed, or we say, actually, we don't want to attach to those poles, and we take those out of the queue. Then we generate construction prints, hand them to a contractor, and they are off to the races. It's about 90 days between then and when that fiber service area would be done. Then you got the next step, the highlighted step there, the first subscriber there on February 1st. Steps 9, 10, 11 will continue on after that, obviously, and for the next remaining 10 or 11 months. And then in perpetuity, folks can sign up for this broadband on their own schedule as soon as their fiber service area is turned on. I want to remind folks to go to apbfiber.com. You can pre-register here for notifications. There's no obligation or to sign up for service eventually. There's no payment here. But we will notify you via email and via flyer and door hangers and yard signs and every other way that we possibly could about 60 or 90 days in advance of when you can sign up in your neighborhood to make sure that you are prepared and you're ready, and we'll give you all the steps that happen between last mile construction and actual installation at your house. And then eventually, we expect 6,198 residents in Hanover County to experience what other folks do at All Points Broadband, which is a pretty good Google star rating for an internet service provider here. I just took a screenshot yesterday. Once the service is there, and I know we're waiting for that to happen, but once it is there, people really love it. They like the experience, and we get a lot of good customer reviews. So there are going to be a number of locations in the county that will be eligible for the Infrastructure Act BEAD funding, and that we have currently pending right now a VADI application with the county. These locations are eligible for broadband funding primarily for 2 reasons. One is because when we put the original grant together, broadband service was reported on a census block basis. If one location in the census block had service, they all were considered to have service as far as the federal government subsidy program was concerned. And number 2, the locations that could get qualifying service at the time of the original grant application no longer meet the definition of broadband. So now services reported on a location-by-location basis, so much more granular details on who does or does not have broadband. And number 2, the definition of broadband went up. So a lot more eligible locations in the county. Here's some details about the BEAD program. We think this is going to happen later in 2024. But it is a program that is very similar to the VADI program. The main difference is that the internet service providers applied directly for the grant as opposed to the VADI program where the county applied on behalf of the ISP. The state had a challenge window back in November. We submitted over 100,000 different location challenges across the state to make sure that the data was correct about who did and did not have broadband, because we want people on the map getting service, whether or not they get it from All Points Broadband. Our mission is to get it to as many people as we can, so we fix the map as best we could. Here are the BEAD project areas in Hanover County. These are your zip code tabulation areas. So each one of these colored areas is going to have an individual application to the BEAD program. Couple of high-level items here. You know, the state and the feds have learned that you can't do a broadband project in 18 months, or in this case, even 24 months. So all of these individual areas would have a maximum of 4 years to be complete, and you're incentivized a little bit to do it in 3 years, but they don't want to hear anything less than 3 years, even for projects of this size. So the state is working to finalize the locations within each of these colored areas. And as we get more information, happy to share that with the county as needed, but we're paying a lot of attention to BEAD in Hanover. Here's some more rules about how the BEAD program will work, but the focus for us is the existing VADI project. That is our focus number one, but our mission is to get broadband to people who don't have it, and BEAD is certainly a tool in the toolbox. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, flip back to some other slides, and
Any questions from board members? Mr. Badesky, I believe, has a
I
comment.
just wanted to clarify one piece on the BEAD program. When we entered this, we made our announcement initially, we said we wanted to make sure everyone in Hanover got served. When we did the original scoping of the project, based on what was reported and areas identified, we had about a 5% gap of folks that were not identified in the original project. So that's why the BEAD program helps. But I will say, between what the other providers that came into the room, that 5% gap has continued to drop. More of our residents are getting covered by other providers. They're not only may have options at the end of, by the end of 2020, or for unserved people, they'll have an option, but some may have multiple options by the end of 2025. And so we're still striving. Hopefully we get the BEAD funding, but even if that funding doesn't come through, we're going to look for alternatives to try to meet that need for those folks that are not served, working with the collective of providers.
Thank you, Mr. Badesky. Mr. Hersberg?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ennis, for your presentation. Thank you so much for being here. I noticed the scheduling and the timeline you put up. It's very helpful. Currently, does All Points have like a work plan to actually perform the work with contractors? How many contractors and routes and that type of thing?
yes, sir. And we have master service agreements with a handful of vendors who could bring in their crews and their subcontractors, similar to the way that RAC mentioned. They can scale up their vendors. We had folks in the office today beating down the door to say, we want this number of miles in Hanover County. There's a lot of fiber construction going on across the country and a lot of demand for that work. One of the ways that we can be attractive is to have this many miles in a particular geographic area, so they can bring, 5 or 6 crews in. But that means we need more miles in a row, because they can churn through the miles pretty quick. So it takes a little bit longer to get enough constructible permitted miles in a row. But once you have that, that is a great thing to have and bring in more vendors.
Okay, thank you very much.
And then on the design side, we brought in the Timmons Group to help us as a skilled vendor as well.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
And Mr. Badesky needs another minute.
So Mr. Hersberg's point is extremely important in the scope of this whole conversation, because beginning in November, you have to hit about a 40-mile per month target, give or take, per month, to meet the obligations you have within your grants.
Correct.
So I'm asking you publicly about your confidence to be able to meet that and deliver the service requirements under the contract.
So the ceiling for one crew is about 20 miles a month. So most vendors, you could bring in 4 or 5 or 6 crews. Now, you don't want them all working in the same fiber distribution area, because then every single road is shut down. So there's a little bit of planning that goes around that. But the throughput and capacity to build 40 miles a month is very achievable.
Okay, and the point that was mentioned earlier about, we've collectively gotten a 15-month extension on our grant, so we preserve the funding, the commitment of the three-party agreement, which is the local funds, the state funds, and the private party funds that All Points are also bringing to the table on this. From an end-user perspective, and just to be clear, and part of the reason the rolling year is important, because if you're in December, if your fiber connection happens in December of 2025, you have until December of 2026 to connect at no charge, depending on the distance from the pole to your home. Can you clarify that?
So no extra charge, which in the industry is a long drop fee or, supplemental cost. So, right, so, let's see if I can get this to work. So we see this kind of green line. All right, that is the border of a fiber service area, and that would all be activated at the same time. And the clock starts for that 12-month period when that fiber service area turns on, and we notify you, we send you a shapefile, a GIS of that. Right, so let's say this turns on in February of next year, and this one turns on in March of next year. This fiber service area has 12 months from when they turn on, not from the first one in the county overall. So it's a rolling 12-month period based on when your fiber service area turns on. And then after that, we still run like July 4th promotions and regular promotions. But the Beatty grant contract extension or the sequence of construction does not change that 12-month clock by fiber service area.
And this is important because we have residents that live a mile off of a main road, that when they're notified and when we assist, we're going to help promote these connections as well. That year is important. So if after 12 months, and we've heard some horrific numbers in the past of those additional line extensions that sort of have eliminated feasibility for our residents, that year notification period is important. Even though All Points has quoted us some more competitive numbers for expansion in the future, it is 100% covered in that first year. And so those notifications are going to be very important for our residents.
Any additional questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, I want to thank all of you for partnering with us. It's important for our citizens, and thank you for your due diligence for helping us get this done.